And then hit the camera again.
Yeah, let's see if it.
Can you see us now, Tom?
Let's see here.
Should be on that camera back there.
Hold on a second. Unfortunately, I cannot.
That might be fortunate on your part, actually.
You may be.
I think you would have to sign in to streaming to see the video.
Start virtual camera. I don't know. Does that?
No, not that one.
No.
Okay. So is there a way for him to see us?
What's this here? The Logi
Coming
camera.
off of that one there.
What's the sources on the camera over there?
Yeah, that's the Logi that comes from the back. That's the one it should be recording or him seeing
So,
right now.
so should I turn?
No, don't turn it. Everything is set, so you don't need to touch those.
So how can he see us? I guess is what I need to.
Yeah. It should have all come through there.
You want to try logging in yourself and see if it's a setting he has? If
Do you
log
think
in from a
it's-
different device? Can you join from a
I'd have to log into the recorder and see.
So, I mean, is there anything that I can do from the way that we have it set up that he can see the board that he's speaking to?
Let me go see real quick on that.
Okay.
He doesn't want to see it.
Tom, I don't know if we can get it where you can actually see us or not, but
Okay.
we
Well,
will.
I know Retha and Crystal are beautiful, so I'll assume the rest of you are beautiful also.
What does that say? Close some apps and then try again. It says your camera's busy, so close apps and then try again, but
I think it's because it's going through your streaming. And like if he would log into the stream, he might be able to see us, but then he'd have
We may have
noise issues.
feedback issues.
Yeah.
I wanted to open
Sounds
up
like he
our
just wants to
OneDrive.
see Crystal and Retha anyway.
I think we're good.
All right, so I can pull up any of this stuff that we need to look at, but yeah, please do. We'll get started here in just a second, guys. I guess we'll. So Tom can see us, but we can see him, but he can't see us. I'm going to move myself over to the,
Cameras now.
so I can work the mouse better.
Wait a minute, I thought for a second I saw you guys.
I think you did for a second.
It's taking the input.
This is better than when we had the laptop set up and tried to see Crystal through the Teams on the laptop. That was a bigger mess.
You stop.
No, we're halfway there, right?
We are. We're getting closer. Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. There's traffic in Ligonier of all places.
I know, hard to believe.
They're doing work on the road, and so I know you don't anticipate a traffic jam in Ligonier.
That's not really. This is what's supposed to be
Just figure that out.
started after.
The thing out here is, why are we in this view on Teams?
I opened it up on the calendar and doing from there probably.
This, I'm looking at the wrong window. I'm looking for this one.
Oh.
Oh, that's perfect.
Oh.
Oh, you're back. You can.
Okay, you're on.
Was there
now.
2 sessions? The Teams open?
No,
Do you have control of his
it's got the-
camera?
Oh, no.
No. So.
No.
Okay.
It's working.
What is that?
So you can see us now, Tom?
So you can see us, Tom?
I can see you clearly, yes.
Okay.
Can you see Crystal well enough, or do I need to get out of the way?
Is Mark's head blinding you, the glare or something?
Well, I can.
Their camera's coming from this way.
Sean, I'm on the phone,
Just
but I
go
want
out
to
of-
let you know I did get 8 sweet tickets. Can I get back to you? I'll turn that. Okay.
Okay, I think if you need to go ahead and call,
All right, let's call the meeting order here.
okay.
Do roll call. Mark? Here. John?
Present.
He's not here. I am here. Kevin? Here. Bill? Here. Rita?
And Kim Shop. Sorry, I got two
Oh,
P's on
extra
that.
P in there. All right, so we've got a confirmation of quorum. Everybody, the minutes were sent out earlier this week, or end of last week, was it? Anyways, they're on the OneDrive as well. Did everybody get a chance to read those? Were there any comments on the minutes? Do we have a motion? They're in front of you as well.
To approve. Second.
John makes a motion. Mark makes a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. All right, jump into old business. Crystal, she's got you under old business.
I'm old news.
That's the only thing I had. I know that our attorney, Mr. Pittman, is on, but Crystal, if you want to talk about kind of what you updated, and then Attorney Pittman can go through kind of the timeline and what these next steps look like. And
Yep. So, do you have the plan I sent out today on that shared drive?
I do. They also have hard
Oh,
copies.
you have hard copies.
You
Okay.
didn't bring?
No, I brought one and I have it up electronically too. So,
Yes.
if you remember back in March, we brought you a preliminary kind of layout of what this plan was going to look like. And we've been making small modifications through that process. Mr. Pittman is taking a look at this, says he thinks it meets all the statutory requirements for the plan, which was important that we do that. So, you'll notice it's significantly more detailed than the last. It has a lot of potential plans and projects that you might want to undertake. Talks a little bit about the funding and financials. And then new things you haven't necessarily seen as we've been working through this is the actual legal description for the TIF, which is really long and big because it's substantially large area. It's I think about 8 pages of a legal description. And then there is a list of the tax parcels that are also included in that, and which is important for your county recorder and assessor's office to have those actual tax parcels. Those are only, I think we've talked a lot about kind of the concept that we've got parcels and then we have connectors. And so these parcels are the parcels that you anticipate collecting tax revenue from, not any of those parcels that potentially, because they aren't platted, have their property lines to the center lines. Those little strips that are in the right-of-way are not included in that tax ID layout, because really the intention is not to collect taxes on that little strip of road. It's to be able to use the increment in the little strip of road. And so that tax list is only the parcels that you kind of see blobbed out in green that are the actual parcels that will be included in the TIF district. And then the last item is just a clear statement from the statute on what you can and can't spend your money on.
That the permissible projects?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
So the list of parcels is for taxing purposes only and does not actually define the TIF, because those right-of-ways then are actually still part of the TIF because that we can spend money in those right-of-ways.
So we're kind of doing belt and suspenders here on this. The legal description actually establishes the TIF district, but what this does is it also then provides the tax parcels for the county to be able to more easily track their actual TIF area. One last thing we're doing is doing a third check So we're taking the legal description and we're taking the legal description CAD drawing and the GIS map, and we're overlaying those to just confirm that the legal description and the map are exactly the same. That will be coming through, it's more of a confirmation than anything. But as I don't think we're taking action today, if we need to make any small modifications, we'll still be able to do that prior to your preliminary adoption of the plan.
The legal description is a verbal description, correct? And so do you have a test case where you generate a GIS map based on that?
So the legal description, we always will draw out in CAD. And then the CAD drawing can be put into GIS to make sure the map that we drew. So it was kind of it's a full circle. We worked with Retha and Nick here to draw out what we wanted the TIF to look like. Then the surveyor took that map, got deeds and title and stuff to do the legal description. And then that's always put in CAD. Surveyors work in CAD. And then we want to do that full circle and make sure the CAD drawing gets uploaded into GIS so that we know we got what we wanted. And then also it'll be easier for Nick moving forward at the city to track that TIF. So it's kind of a full circle process. But again, those text numbers are easy then for Retha to kind of use as she's doing. So someone calls her or is interested in doing a project on a parcel, she's got the parcel ID right there that she knows it's in the TIF, and also for the county taxing purposes. So it's great to have both of them. The last time we did look at this, we had inserted the 13.5 million, I think it was, on page 3, or $35 million on page 4. That, if you remember, came from conversations with staff about projects that they had desired to take, that they would do in the TIF. Came from the engineering department and highway department and the water department. So that number is actually based on potential projects that the city would like to undertake.
Can you draw that number to my attention?
It's in bold, probably the top third of page number 3.
Can't tell.
And in bold,
I felt like it.
about a third of the way down of the page. Right under the bulleted.
I thought it was right here.
No, it can't, because that's the off ramp. It's not on that side of the off ramp.
Oh,
It's
Okay, so we've had a few modifications since this was last sent out to us.
a few modifications on that area plan, yes. It's a little bit more detailed.
Plan is then for us to read over this, or?
And that's what, I guess, Crystal, is that the action item is they need to kind of review again, just make sure that they're not seeing anything that.
Yeah, absolutely. This, we had hoped to bring it to you today for an actual preliminary resolution to adopt it, but based on the other meeting schedule behind, we don't have to. So we thought we'd take the opportunity, give you one last chance to review it before it would come back to you at your September meeting for a resolution for the adoption of the declaratory resolution.
Yes, so Attorney Pittman's office went through everything, or Attorney Pittman, and just reviewed the plan. So we were kind of waiting on him to say, yes, this is all legal. This makes sense. This is good. He made some amendments that Crystal fixed. Some additions, some changes, just some things that they took care of, and then added the more details, the parcel numbers, the other stuff. So now this should be the final. And what I talked about just a little bit ago is Attorney Pittman had sent a timeline and said, hey, if we are good at today's meeting, let's approve this amended plan and get it on the September 8th Plan Commission agenda, because then we have to do a declaratory resolution there. I am not going to be at that September 8th meeting, and so I had to talk to them and say, can we adjust that again? We're going to have to push it back, because I can't present this at that September 8th Plan Commission meeting So it gives you guys some time. This is on that OneDrive. It gives you guys a little bit more time to look through and just make sure you're not disagreeing with anything or you want something else changed, I guess.
And if you'd like, I can send you, we should be able to send you the link to this GIS map so you can, because it's hard to read. I mean, it's fairly small on letter size.
I think you can just put it in a document or a link directly in OneDrive too.
I mean, this is attached to this, but I also have, if I go back to the OneDrive, sorry, guys, when I'm looking up here, I think
Yeah,
I
it's
put
part of
it
the document
in
already.
here.
Oh, yeah, it's in there.
As a document, so you can look at it that way, or we can send you the live link to the GIS that they should be able to maneuver around, right, if need be.
Yeah, and then I think the benefit of that is that you should be able to click on any of the parcels and see the parcel information.
When it comes from the GIS map, okay.
That would be beneficial, probably.
So that you.
Yeah, is it feasible to just embed the link in the document?
This web map does not have the parcels behind it. So he needs to produce another GIS map that has the parcel data behind
Correct.
it.
And then you'll share that link with us.
Yeah.
We can put it on Drive.
Or Nick might have
I see
to
what you're
because part of the problem is that the way GIS is if you don't own the GIS layer, it sometimes doesn't let you share it publicly. And since the parcel layer is coming from the county, in theory, yes, it should let you do it, but we'll have to create a new map to be able to do that. But the layer itself
And
will change.
it's not.
Okay.
Do I understand right? We don't have to approve this today. We can take this and look at over the next couple days and.
We have it scheduled to approve on October 8th. Looking at that correctly.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I'd just like to have a couple.
Is that, I mean, that's the last we can do it on, to make it to the 13th.
To make it to that next plan
But we should be,
commission meeting.
the goal would be to do it our next meeting. Correct?
Well, you have a choice, actually. You can take the redevelopment, you can act at either the September or the October redevelopment commission meeting, understanding that we can't go to the plan commission until October 13th. Would you rather do it in September or October?
September's plenty of time.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, if we can approve it in September, then that gives me time to get it on the agenda for the October 13th, the October 13th meeting and be ready
Okay.
to maybe so.
Yeah, I'll adjust the timetable then to push the redevelopment commission action back to the September meeting, okay?
And
And then, just out of curiosity, so I have not talked to my plan commission about this declaratory resolution or explained it to them. Do you feel like before that meeting, I need to maybe go over what that is with them? I'm not even sure what, I just maybe need to explain it to them, send them an email, talk about it beforehand. Is that okay to do?
Well, that's highly recommendable, yes.
And you may actually, once you get any feedback back from the redevelopment commission, send them a copy of this plan. Because
Okay.
what plan commission's involvement in this is because they are the manager of the future land use plan. That's their role in life, as they
Right.
manage and they make land use decisions. So really, the role of the plan commission in this process is to confirm that this plan is consistent with the comprehensive land use plan. So they should get a copy of it, because that's what they're saying. They're saying, hey, we think this is good, this meets the criteria of our comprehensive land use
Okay.
plan. This is what our community wants to see. And if you need me to, in advance, so I think get any last comments from this group before you send it to them. But I could go to that meeting and explain it as well in September if you want, while you're not there, just so that they understand, and maybe talk about it from a planning perspective, not necessarily a legal perspective, but from the planning and the plan commission's role in this is, it is they should have an opportunity to review the
We
plan
can
itself
invite-
before
we-
they're asked to.
And invite
Declare
them to
that
our
it's-
September meeting too.
Yeah.
I mean, that may be clearer. We may have a few questions that they may have at the same time. It might make more sense to invite them to. Since you're not
Yeah.
here for their September meeting, they don't have to come, but at least it's offered at that point in time.
And if we need to, then I guess I could, either after this board approves it and says, yeah, we're good with this at the September meeting, I could email it out or have hard copies for them at their September 8th meeting.
Yes,
And
to give them time to
to
review.
give them time to review so that they do vote on October, because we really don't want to push it back too much farther,
That
so.
doesn't work because our meeting is not before then. So we'll need to reschedule ours if that's the case.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, I could still,
They meet on the 8th and then they meet twice a month or just once?
they meet just once a month.
Our
Yeah,
meeting-
when is our
meeting will be on
September
the
meeting? I don't
Yeah,
even know.
after that.
Yeah.
Is there a concern sending it to them as a draft, even though the commission hasn't formally adopted it? At least they have seen it in a draft format? Tom?
Well, it's a very substantially final form of it, so I
Yeah.
see no reason to hold off.
Okay.
Yeah, again, I think maybe if in the next 2 weeks you had any comments or changes, we would make those before you would share it with them, but
I would propose that we share this with them as is, with directions on what their role is written out. Knowing that there could be changes there. You guys, I can't make that proposal. Is that-
I would imagine that the odds of significant changes are pretty low, right?
I would agree
We're
with
just
that.
doing our due diligence.
I would agree with that. I think really they're not gonna get too hung up on what this is. They don't even know what their role is. They're gonna have more questions about what's our role, why do we care what
What do
this
you want
is?
from us?
I think that's where we need to get clear with. Okay.
So I can send that to them with the explanation on the comprehensive plan, the land use plan, like we want to make sure that this is matching, that you guys, and it's really just that, the land use portion of that.
isn't that what that resolution is actually stating? Is that they're furthering, they're adopting a resolution to say it's consistent with the land use plan and forwarding it on to council for their action.
Yes, and stress on the word consistent. It needs to conform with the plan, but it doesn't have to match it, certainly. It just can't have anything in it that, violates, the ideas in the plan. And that's almost always possible to do. Sometimes plans commissions think that they have a more substantive role in it, but they don't. It's a very minor thing.
Okay, I don't know, and this might be, I apologize if comes off as a dumb question, I'm just not sure. I don't know that our plan commission has ever adopted the resolution. Do we recommend it to the council, or do we actually adopt it at plan commission?
You're adopting a resolution, not the plan.
Yeah, it's a resolution. Crystal will file the copy of the plan with them, and we'll file a copy of the redevelopment commission resolution that would have been passed. And so, yeah, it is a resolution. It's not actually technically a recommendation to the town council. It's just a box that has to be checked. It's a resolution.
So then does the council approve the resolution, or is it just more of a formality that we present it to them as well?
There'll be different resolutions. Each one of these is a different document.
Okay.
Yeah, each of these meetings will be about getting a resolution passed.
So the language from so each one of these resolutions has pretty prescriptive language from the statute that says the redevelopment commission is declaring that they want to do this project. We are declaring it. Here's our resolution. We're adopting the plan. We're going to send it on to the Plan Commission for them to adopt a resolution that says they think it's consistent with the comprehensive land use plan. Then it goes to the council. The council says we agree with the redevelopment commissions. Again, nobody's adopting the plan. They're only adopting resolutions saying, keep on going, guys. And then by the time it gets back to you for that confirming resolution, that's when you're officially adopting it. That's when everything becomes legal and it
So
gets
this
sent.
board officially adopts it.
You are the only one that have.
So we're just
control of
asking
this.
permission for two people.
Yeah,
We
it's
can use
pretty
all
much.
these words. We're asking somebody and they say, yeah, you
Sure.
give approval, yeah, now we're good. That's really what we're doing, is that?
Okay.
I think it serves a couple purposes. One, it
Another
provides
thing
the
I-
public opportunity to comment at either of those other two meetings. It puts both of those boards, the council and the plan commission, on notice that you're doing this. It's more about communication, I think, than anything.
Good. Okay, I think we got a plan. We can keep moving forward. Good. Everybody will read through this and go through it. One quick question I have on, I don't want to get into details of, but reading through what we're allowed to do, allocation of land, is that something that we can do?
Well, you did not adopt, you don't have an acquisition list in.
Correct. So we can't put that in there without putting the list. Is that correct?
If you're,
Yeah.
Okay, we don't want to do that. I just want to make sure. Yeah, we don't have any in mind.
Sorry. If you want to acquire land, you have to amend the plan to identify the identify the particular land, and then you have to run it back through all the same schedule of meetings.
Okay. Perfect. On to, we've kind of blended old and new together, but Attorney Piven, why don't you share we've got our schedule in front of us here and tell us, kind of walk us through, we've gone halfway through the process here, but give us timeline on how we're operating.
Well, I mean, we'll move the October 8th redevelopment commission actions back to September. So the September redevelopment commission at that meeting will adopt a resolution. Then at the plan commission, they'll adopt a resolution, we hope. Then on the city council on October 20th, a resolution to be adopted. And there's some pretty, complicated notice provisions, but we will obviously help shepherd that. And then at the November 12th meeting of the Redevelopment Commission, there will be a public hearing and then adoption of yet another resolution. So it's really those four meetings are the kind of the skeleton of what the process is.
When you say complicated notifications, is this when we have to notify our taxing units, like the school?
Yes.
So we have to invite them to all of those meetings, or do they just come to one meeting?
They are just notified, they're sent a copy of a tax impact statement that Jason Semler would do. That gets filed, sent to them. They can come to the meeting if they want, since it's public. They're a public, it's a public hearing, but they don't have to. You don't have to communicate with them anymore beyond just sending them the tax impact statement and a copy of the notice of hearing.
So I have
And
left.
Jason will do that for you.
Okay, and I left a message with him. I haven't heard back yet, but what would be the date then that I need that tax impact statement done by?
Well, it would need to be delivered so that it arrives 10 days in advance of the November 12th. I think I put in the timetable an entry for Jason to provide a draft of the tax impact statement. But yeah, I mean, I've got October 12th October 28th is the schedule to do that on.
Okay, I
And,
see
you
it,
know,
okay.
I'll be all over this. Mhm. Yeah, I will take responsibility to, you know, hopefully clearly communicate to you in advance if there's anything you need to be doing.
Okay, good.
We notify all parcel?
No.
Well, no.
No.
Okay.
No, we had that conversation that this process does not, the way we're going about it doesn't require notification of the property owners.
It's not required. It's a good idea.
Probably not.
Well, Mr. Pittman,
They're gonna
on the
find
call earlier,
Which
kind
one's
of,
that?
What we have control over is how they find out.
A lot of them won't find out. They won't ever look at that. They'll never notice that it's on there. I mean, it's okay. I don't think it matters either way.
It's not gonna affect them in any way.
except for make
No.
incentives available for development.
Make incentives available for
Sure.
development, but it,
And which maybe they should know.
right.
Well, and I think, you know, there is legal notice has to be published. That's why you'll notice on this that there's several places when you have a public hearing, you have to do legal notice.
Yeah.
So again, are people going to the legal ads in your newspaper or, you know, publishing it on your website is great. But I will always say, and Mr. Pittman will probably tell me to not say this, but there's legal requirements and there's community building requirements. And they are two different things. You're legally obliged to do what's laid out here.
Yeah, legal requirements are minimal, right?
And so the other thing to think about is all the parcels, if you look in the plan, that big parcel list, like 247 parcels maybe. Some of them are owned by the state, some of them are owned by the Angola, some of them are, you know, owned by multiple property owners own multiple parcels. But it's a substantial notification if you would choose to do that. It's not notifying 5 people, it could be 50 or 100 or.
Yeah, I'm just asking a question.
It's not-
It's a good question. I do think if you notify, this sounds crazy, but I think I would notify after it's taken place. Only because I've been on the side of this where we have to notify for all kinds of projects, and it can be a good notification. But when they get a piece of mail that says they're telling, they just start asking questions that are not relevant to everything else, even if it's a good thing, just because of how it comes in the mail. That's my experience.
Yeah, but the same thing can happen when they get that first tax bill and it says TIF.
Correct.
Well, and we
And then
were-
they don't feel involved in the process.
We were having that
Right.
conversation. I don't know if the only way to check would be to get a copy of a tax bill. We were having this conversation. We weren't sure that it was actually consistent across counties on whether they do or do not identify TIF separately on a tax bill.
We could check that now, can't we?
It-
Yeah, we could with what's in our existing TIF, I guess we could see, and I could ask.
Because I
Some
don't know
property
that it is consistent, that they would. Now, it doesn't mean that if they were asked, but I don't know that it's gonna show up blaringly on their tax bill, TIF. If it does, there will be a whole group of people calling Rita the first time they did that. But we're not sure it does.
They won't call Retha. That's not where
Yeah,
they're paying
and
their
the real
taxes.
question, the real question I'm asking is, will Retha get a bunch of angry phone calls on their way to the mayor?
I think what
And
we,
is there a way we can head that off
so I think that
without doing too much?
there will be legal notices, like you said, and not everybody's gonna look at those in the paper, but I do think that, once we know and we get so far, I wouldn't mind doing, and maybe Attorney Pittman would suggest against this, but I wouldn't mind contacting our media and saying, hey, I mean, I'm pretty proud of this accomplishment.
That's
We have extended our
afterwards.
TIF, we have done this, and so I feel like saying, hey, this has happened and this is what this is gonna look like, and you may see it different on your tax bills, but it's not an increase, it's just a separating out, and I don't know exactly, but I feel like a media release to say, we have accomplished this is kind of
And
okay.
it's another tool for economic development in
Yeah.
our community.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Attorney Pittman?
But that you should discourage them vehemently from separate things out. I do not believe it's legally required, and I also think that is an invitation to trouble. I would strenuously urge them not to do that.
After completion, was it okay to do it? Or you're saying don't do it at all?
Ever.
Okay.
You mean a media release to notify people they're in the TIF, or are you talking about separating it on their tax bill?
Separating them on their tax bill.
Okay.
And that's not a local decision, that would be just how the county
Yeah.
assessor manages the tax.
So you check with the assessor and see how those are.
That'll be a good indication whether it'll be something that's like, whoa.
Yeah.
And but I would also say there's nothing wrong with doing, there's lots of published information. I think Barnes and Thornburg is a great resource, as well as some others that you might want to put, like TIF 101 on your Redevelopment Commission website. So if people start hearing about this stuff, they have a very easy way to get information. You know, the report that Jason provided that shows what tax increment actually is. It's not that you're getting taxed more, it's that a portion of your tax is being diverted to another funding stream. And so basic information like that never hurts. And then if you do get calls, or the mayor's office gets calls, you have a quick and easy resource for to direct people to look at, and maybe that will alleviate some of their concerns.
Yeah, and I want to be fully transparent that way, and I want to make sure that they're educated. And I think some of those documents, and maybe what Jason sent, so when we send out our notices, we send them for meetings, all those documents could be put in that OneDrive, and we send a link to that OneDrive to the media, so they can see everything that we're looking at. So if I put that in there, then I would love it if they pick that up and put something in the paper off of that Understanding TIF or whatever. So I think that's a good, and to the schools, I can send that, or to whoever that, yeah.
And since we are talking about PR here, over and above legal requirement, find out what the mayor's approach might be, or what he would like to do. Because I serve at the
Good
pleasure
idea.
of the mayor, right? So
Yeah, yep,
so
absolutely.
the taxpayers,
Don't want them to open up
their
and read
powers
about
over
it.
the mayor's powers over me.
Yes, yes.
Good call. Anything else on I think we all read through this or have an idea of what we're doing on the procedure. Are we comfortable with that? We've gone through the old business, I think we're through the new business. Is there anything else on your other? I don't see anything on other.
The only thing that there isn't anything on other, but what I thought about when I was reading through the minutes is that we had discussed getting prepared and setting parameters. You were going to maybe talk to somebody that had requested TIF in Auburn. And so we had talked about that a little bit. I talked to Attorney Pittman and Crystal on, Crystal sent some examples from Goshen, Elkhart on what they do. Attorney Pittman said that there are a lot of communities that don't even have an application process. He thinks it's a good idea. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, honestly, I don't necessarily recommend that you would do in tax abatements, yeah, you do that. But for the possible scenarios are so infinite that I don't think you should bind yourself by an application. I really don't.
So the thought was to put an application together, but not put not put a process, a grading scale together, just so we can get their thoughts of what they want to do on one application. It wouldn't be like,
Maybe an
it wouldn't be like an
information sheet
abatement
or-
where you have to qualify for this, you're showing all of these. It'd be more of an information application than it would be a qualifying application, I think is what we discussed.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah, and you might say, here are things we're going to consider.
Right.
What job creation you project, what's your investment, payroll. You might say that as a policy, you never provide more than X percent of the TIF as a general matter, subject to the discretion of the redevelopment commission.
I think we develop one that's just.
So you're saying
otherwise-
there should be some kind of bare bones policy outline.
Okay.
Is that what you're saying, Tom?
Yes, I think that is a good idea. What you don't want to do is to have somebody march in and say, look, we filled in your application, and according to the application, we're entitled to TIF incentive, and we don't want them to be, given to think that or expect it. Okay.
We don't want them to feel entitled because ultimately it's our decision.
Yes.
It's more of a
Right.
grant application. It's more of a grant application than it even would be for like abatement. I mean, it's really what you're asking for. It's very subjective on our part.
Well, and remember that each one of these deals is a negotiated
Right.
agreement. So unlike tax phase-in where there's a state process and state forms, each one of these has to be viewed as you're a financial partner in a development deal. And you as a financial partner in that development deal have to be able to negotiate agreement. So every one of these will be different. Every one of them is a negotiated arrangement, not a simple, SB1 form that you fill out and you qualify so you get it.
So I guess, and what I'm wondering too is we have something that's called Angola Investment Fund that we utilize here at the city as an incentive for industries. It's a loan application, something similar to that, or basically that is what it is. And those applicants, again, this is different because we are loaning them money there, but they come to us in an executive meeting to explain, hey, I'm looking for these funds because this is what I'm going to do. This is what my plan is. In a redevelopment situation, does the applicant or requester or whatever you want to call them, do they come to a meeting and ask for that at a public meeting? Or how does that usually work?
Well, I mean, you'd have to, you could assign to Retha the task of doing a preliminary review, and then if you want to hear more, invite them to the next meeting.
Okay.
I think that's the idea. If we get an application, we can sift through and see if it's worth having that meeting or not. But a question to put on an application is if they're going to apply for a tax abatement. We want to know that.
Then if you, Tom, if I'm correct, if you do, so they come give their presentation, you think, hey, this is interesting, we might want to set up an agreement with them. Then once you get into that contract negotiation, those are able to go through an executive session because you're negotiating a contract or not?
Oh, you can talk about it. You can't take final action.
Yeah. But so, because obviously when you're dealing with financial records for a business and things like that, that you should want to know what their investment is. Some of that stuff is not necessarily what you want to be disclosed publicly.
And that's what we do, Mark, right? Like because they are discussing their private finances or their investment, we don't make them public for that portion.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I actually looked at that application in your checklist today, thinking it would probably be a good starting point for something, because it's collecting this, it's the same kind of information you would want to know. Whether you really are, you're a financial partner in a redevelopment agreement. So if somebody's, even if it's a developer-based bond, they're putting out the money and you're going to reimburse them with TIF over time. You're still a financial partner in this thing. And as a financial partner, you need to know that these people can do what they say they're going to do and prove financially that they got the wherewithal to complete the project. Because every one of these agreements is going to cost you time and money in negotiating them for legal costs. And Jason will always have to run a TIF analysis to see what's available. So you will have an investment in every one of these agreements that you go into. So you want to be sure that you're actually talking to people that have capacity. We don't have one of the former mayors I used to work for called it big hat, no cattle. you know, you gotta have somebody who knows what they're doing because you're gonna spend significant time and money getting there with them. So there's a great kind of, I would say, tiered process. Make sure that you're collecting the kind of information you want. Have them come do a presentation if Retha gets the amount of information she needs, because sometimes people just are fishing and they don't know what they're doing. Make sure they're spending a little bit of time to get it prepared before you waste your time to even review it. And then you just go further down the line and you end up with a negotiated agreement at the end of the day, which does have to be approved at a public meeting.
Most of the stuff on the AIF side, we never even look at unless it gets past Isaac.
Yeah.
If Isaac's excited about it and wants to do it, then we'll look at it.
Which is the same thing,
It'd be
right?
the same thing with,
Yep.
if it gets past Retha,
And that's hard to do.
'cause she,
Go around the room here. Mark, do you have anything else to add?
we got
John? Bill? Kevin? Retha? All right.
Thank you, Tom. And I didn't really introduce you very well, but this is Tom Pittman, a redevelopment attorney from Barnes and Thornburg, and he literally wrote the redevelopment manual. So he will be an amazing resource, and we appreciate your time tonight.
Andy has been a good friend of the city in the past on many other complicated processes that he understands.
Great.
Good to see you, Tom.
Okay, take care. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Are you ready for a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? All right. See ya.
Thank you, guys.
So I will tell everybody, just for any